So that's coming in. I see the live stream.
Okay.
And I'm going to make you a co-host.
Okay.
Is this not?
Let me just tell Stuart something. So you're going to introduce me and then I'm going to put on my slides. Is that the way we're going to do it?
Yeah, we go whatever you want to do. I mean, we don't have to do the slides whenever you get ready for it. So, okay,
Right.
so we're live now on the ETN. So I just see people are going to start noticing that we're starting something. So that's good.
Wonderful.
Good morning, everybody on eTurbo News and the Travel News Group publications. We're ready for a live stream about the Ageless Travelers. And it's going to be a really interesting discussion. If you wanted to be part of this discussion, you can still join us. Just go to worldtourismevents.com, worldtourismevents.com, and you can actually still sign up to be part of this discussion. We're going to start in about 9 minutes. So don't mind our chatting to get ready for the show. Thank you.
Yes, and I want to tell everybody that if they can't register, because we may have taken that off, don't worry about it. If you go to World Travel Network contact, you can simply say you want a recording of the show because it will be recorded. So we hope you go on because we'll be taking live questions. But if you can't register, don't worry about it. We will send you the live recording. And
actually, just to verify this, we're not going to actually physically email recording, but it's going to be on our archive. So if you go to any of our websites like breakingnewsshow.com, our YouTube channel, or you go to World Tourism Network, WTN, and click on past events. Once the event is done, you can see it, and you can also see a live stream of the event repeating again and again. But you should be able to register till right the end of the show. So if you like to be part of it, I think you can still do it. So let me just give Andrea, I'm going to make you a co-host here so you can see who's coming in. Okay, so you should now have a pop-up on the right side, Andrea, where you can, Adriana?
yes.
And you can see who's coming in. And so we're going to admit in about 2 or 3 minutes. I can do that from here, but you can see who's knocking on the door.
Good. I already see that 8 people have been in the waiting room, but we have hundreds coming. And hopefully after everybody sees the live stream and the recording, we'll have thousands coming because it's a big, big, big topic. And I do want to emphasize anybody on the stream, please do go to the contact at WTN. Tell us that you are interested in this because anybody who where we know has registered has a book coming to them. So if we don't know that you've registered or you can't register, no problem. Just say, I want my book that has to do with the Ageless Traveler. And that I will be able to send you a download.
Yeah, and obviously you should be a member of the World Tourism Network. So if you're not a member of the World Tourism Network, simply click on join. So you can get all these goodies from us. And it's going to be a really interesting event. I'm really looking forward to it. So, but let's give it like 1 minute, and I think we can let people come in, and so everyone can introduce themselves, or just we usually have people talking to each other. Let me just 1 second. Okay, so I think we can let some of our friends in here. Go. And again, everyone who's already watching us on any of our news channels, this is a live stream event by the World Tourism Network. We're going to start in about 5 minutes, and it's about the Ageless Traveler. And if you wanted to be part of this event, simply go to worldtourismevents.com and you can still sign up. And then you're going to be part of this live Zoom audience, but would also give you some information later we're going to send to you, I understand, and we will also be able to take your questions and your comments. Okay.
And for everybody watching, this is really a launch. I'll be mentioning that when we officially start the program, but it's really a launch of a special interest group for those in the great tourism industry who's interested in what we'll call the Ageless Traveler. I'll say for later who the Ageless Traveler is, but I think you get the idea that it's somebody of a certain age that wants to travel all their life, and our job is to make lifelong travel easy.
Yeah, and good morning, everybody. And we're going to start in about 4 minutes or so. So if you want to talk, I know a lot of people may know anyone else here on the group. Feel free to chat. The microphones are on, and we're just getting ready at this point. Good morning, everybody, and aloha, as we say here in Hawaii.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Susan. How are you?
Good.
Great.
Now, Susan, I know personally because she's one of the great travelers of the world. She's been on my radio show, The Ageless Traveler. She's a walker. She has many books out. And one of the things that she says is the first thing you do when you get into a new city is take a walk into neighborhoods that nobody else is going to. So that's her philosophy. That's Susan Stover's.
Thank you.
That's good. As long as you're in a safe city, I guess that's a good idea, right?
We both actually like the hop on, hop off buses. So
Yes, my favorite.
it's her favorite. And all those medals she has back there, I happen to know is because she's walked virtually the way. And we'll be talking a little bit about walking today and the Ageless Traveler and what the tourism industry can do to actually help us all live longer. And that's a very serious possibility that we are the catalyst for longevity for everybody who loves to travel.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Whoever, if you're joining us, feel free to talk, or your microphone is on. We're going to start in about 2 minutes. We're also on live stream on eTurbo News and the entire Travel News Group family of publications. And if you see us online, just stay tuned. It's going to be an interesting event. Or if you wanted to still be part of our audience and ask questions, you can still do that. Just go to worldtourismevents.com, worldtourismevents.com. You can still sign up.
This is phase one, no later than the first of next month. Time is of the essence.
Okay, so it's going to start in about 2 minutes now. We still have people coming in.
So everybody knows to mute themselves, but we do have a chat. And one thing I'm interested in, we won't be taking the questions from the chat. We'll be taking them from you. But I've been to 110 countries, and I'm very interested to know what countries you're in. You can put that in the chat. But also, what countries are your favorites to travel in?
Okay, so let's give it one more minute, if that's okay.
Sure.
What's happened? What's the meaning of all this?
I see Mexico City
Okay.
Future means the end
and
of business.
Moses.
Well, we still have people coming in here, so
Mother,
We have something on the Ageless Traveler we call the Culture Vulture, and Mexico City ranks very high. We have the Jerry Bain, New York metro area. That's my old haunt. I'm in Palm Springs now, but I've been a New Yorker for all my life. You can tell that. Jan Sunday, Norway, is here. Norway is in the house, he says. Yvette Mamgu. Las Vegas, I just came back. The Ukraine, Limerick City, Ireland. A wonderful place to say poetry.
Okay, I see Diana in McIntyre in Jamaica. Thanks for joining us, Diana.
And I saw Uganda, place I'm visiting very soon. Palm Desert, California. Yay!
Okay, we have Frank from Ontario, from Canada, joining us.
Barcelona, another great place for museums, one of the best in the world.
Okay, I think we're just about ready. So what I will do is mute everybody, and then Adriana, you can unmute yourself and take over the show. Let me just say a few words once I mute everybody, so everyone knows how we do this today.
Montego.
Good morning, everyone, again, and aloha from Hawaii. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, and you're watching the breaking news show by World Tourism Network this morning, and we have an interesting discussion about the ageless traveler. And Adriana, who is running a new group, and she will explain this within the World Tourism Network about the ageless traveler. We'll explain a lot more, and we're going to have hopefully a lively discussion at the end. It's a really interesting subject, I think, and you will know more. For those of you that are not part of the World Tourism Network yet, I urge you to join us. You can simply go to wtn.travel. So this way you can be part of the overall discussion. You can join also this interest group and other interest groups. You can join our local chapters, and you get special invitations for events that are very exclusive. And we hope you do join us. Just again, go to wtn.travel and then click on join and see what we're doing. We're really helping the SMEs. SMEs are the small and medium-sized businesses. That's really what our target audience is. And if you have any questions or you have any questions for this event or in general, just click on contact. And there's an easy form, and we will read everything and we'll respond to all of you on this. Also, I wanted to welcome our viewers on eTober News and the entire family of in the Travel News group. Including now we have the Caribbean Tour News. I see Diana
Webinar.
is there. So we have the Saudi Tourism News. Our family for this one is growing. So I have to maybe undo my mouse here because for some reason, let me try this again. Okay, I think I'm back connected. I'm not sure why let me turn this off. Sorry about this. I had some, let me just try this again. Okay, we're back online. So without further delay, I think I'd like to give the microphone to Adriana, and she can introduce herself. Amazing lady. She joined World Tourism Network, and she immediately agreed to run this interest group. And I'm so excited to have Adriana here this morning and lead this discussion. Welcome, Adriana. Adriane, I'm sorry.
Hello,
You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Actually, it's Adrian.
Adrian, I'm sorry. That's
and
my
my
German.
mother heard the name on a bus, and she spelled it wrong. And so that's why nobody says my name correctly. Okay, so I'm going to make a very brief introduction only because I see people are still coming in and I don't want them to miss anything. And I'm going to soon share my screen, and we're going to have some slides here. I'm not going to take a very long time with you guys because I want you to voice your own opinions and the things that you have been doing that's working regarding the ageless traveler. I will introduce the fact that the ageless traveler does not have that much to do with age. It is not a demographic. It's a psychographic. It's people like myself that really do love to travel, want to travel all their life, but are finding that there are certain barriers. It could be mobility. It could even be burnout. As I mentioned before we actually officially began, I've been to 110 countries. I'm looking for new places to go all the time. It's not like the days when we were working and we wanted to see Paris, and if we saw the iconic parts of the world, it would be fine. Now we're looking for something different, very deep experiential travel. And I think that the tourism industry is going to step up the plate, and even more so after this presentation, because it's the launch, as Jürgen said, of a new special interest group on the Ageless Traveler. You'll see what that means. And while people are still coming on, I want to mention something. As Jürgen and I said earlier during the stream beginning, we are inviting you to be part of this special interest group. And we're also inviting you to receive a book that will help you really serve this population. And the way we're asking you to do it is simply by going to the WTN contact page. But when you go to that page, you will see a list of why you are contacting. And I personally, I'm the one, I selected advocacy. The word advocacy that you can check. Why? Because I believe that you're all advocates. You're all advocates for our longevity, for worldwide longevity, worldwide economic growth through tourism. And so while that might be a funny thing for you to check off in the world of tourism, I see you as advocates. And as we create this special interest group, I think you're going to be seeing yourself that way too, more and more as a powerful force, not just for tourism, but for economic development all over the world and for personal growth and longevity equity. Okay, so now I'm going to start. Now, I am not great at sharing my screen, so I'm going to do my best here. And I'm going to share this. Hopefully it'll work here. And it did not work. So let's see why.
Yeah, we see your, I think you need to just change the screen. I see your Zoom page. So if you click on
I
the
know.
other page,
So I'm going to have to, I may have to add.
on the top, you see the different bars. Is it one of these bars, perhaps?
Yeah. So sorry about this. No, this is, let's go back to that. Okay.
Again, while we find,
I'm going to start. Let me see if I can.
and while we find this, again, one more announcement for those that are now watching us on our live stream at the Travel News Group Publications.
Getting
if you
help.
want to join us, you can just simply go to worldtourismevents.com and you can still sign up. So we're just getting ready and trying to figure out how to show the,
Pulling in the troops here.
okay. I think you may want to have to close this and do screen share again, and then you see actually on your computer, you should see the different things you have on your computer, and then click on the right one.
Okay, we're starting here. Here's Violet. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay,
We got it. Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry. All right. Let's see if I can get this up here. All right. What I wanted everybody to know is that this is not a U.S. issue. That the ageless traveler, that people who are traveling all their life are increasing all over the world. So for my little slide here, I picked an old statement from the British Times from 2013, 10 years ago or more, because the hospitality industry underestimated the spending power of people over the age of 65. They lost 163 billion pounds in 2013. Fortunately, times have changed. We really do care about this demographic. And I want to show you why we do. This is people between the ages of 60 and 78 by the numbers. Now, again, I don't want your eyes to glaze over with numbers, but I think it's important to show this. First of all, why are we traveling so much? We have so much more longevity. I just came back from a conference called RADFest, where geroscientists are claiming that our average age will be about 105, and we can go up to 115, and it's very possible to be very healthy. They call this HALE, Health Adjusted Life Expectancy. That means we are going to have 3.9 trillion hours of free time, 50 trillion worldwide in the next 20 years. We should be traveling. We can be traveling. We are already spending $157 billion per year on travel, and we're expected by 2050, in the next 25 years, to take anywhere between 1.6 to 2 billion trips. That's people over the age of 60. That's from the World Tourism Organization. I didn't introduce myself too much because I want to do this as we go along. But one of my roles is that I'm a representative to the United Nations from the International Federation on Aging. And so these statistics have become so impressive at the United Nations that one of their new sustainable development goals is tourism. That has never happened before. And we also not only are traveling, as ageless travelers, we're spending the most money. We spend 88% of us take premium or luxury travel trips. I am a podcaster. I'm a podcaster for the United Nations called On the Ground, but I'm also a podcaster for you. The Ageless Traveler is the name of a podcast, a YouTube channel, and a blog that we run and we created. And one of the things we're doing right now is luxury travel for less, because we know from our listeners and our constituents that one thing that does happen when you get older is you want a better bed. And if we no longer, only 66% of us who travel go to hotels. 44 are interested in luxury Airbnbs and home sharings. We'll talk about that in a moment. But across the board, the accommodations must be luxurious. We're also long-time travelers. I personally travel 3 to 4 months a year, and I'm in a location called Palm Springs where I'm not alone with Matt. Most people here do exactly that. But the average person, the average ageless traveler, 60 and over 78 into their 80s, take 27 days a year for traveling. And what I think is very important and very forgotten is that by 2050, only 25 years from now, there will be 426 million people over the age of 80. And over 80 is the fastest growing demographic in the world. So what should we do? What should we do? We have all of these older aged people. We have internalized and externalized ageism in the way we look at ourselves, not just the other guy. And so what I wanted to go through with you very quickly today is how to create, innovate, and accommodate for these ageless travelers. Only going to be a growing demographic. Now, I'm going to get a little bit on a soapbox for a minute. There's a study that I didn't include in the slides by Mobility. They interviewed 1,000 hotels, and 70% were not permitting people to get an accessible room online. You had to call. Now, on this, I know in the audience is Sharon Rose, who is Sharon Solomon Rose, who is on our board at the Ageless Traveler. She herself is a gerontologist, but she knows the industry very well. She says, Adrienne, you know, the reason it's so hard is there's only a limited number of rooms by law. Well, maybe there shouldn't be such a limited number of rooms because accessibility is very important. And every one of those rooms should be beautiful and luxurious. So we have to have a different way of thinking about who we want in our tourism, whether it's a hotel, whether it's an airport, whether it's an itinerary, a tour operator, or a tourist board, or a minister of tourism. And what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm going to ask you to do this as I speak and think about it, and later on you'll get a book where you can actually make your own notes, is to create, innovate, and accommodate the ageless traveler. How are you already doing it? Well, one thing we're going to ask you to do is create an avatar. Think who the person is as a guest that you really would like. Start there. Innovate with some staff training that I'll explain and some messaging information that I think is very unique that we'll give you in a minute. And then accommodate. And accommodate, of course, is what we mean inclusion. Make sure that the environment is inclusive. I don't like the words age-friendly because I think one of the problems is that we are age essential. We're always looking for the age. It's not the age. It's the stage of the guest that we care about. So in creating your avatar, don't think I am creating an environment for an older person, because you have to step in the shoes of your guest. We have a word for that. Another part of what I do is I consult. We have a consulting consortium that includes people like Peter Anderson, who was with Deloitte when it comes to the ROI of making changes in an environment or a hotel, Sharon, who I mentioned, and a few others I'll talk about in a moment. But when we consult, we see across the board that the guest is labeled by age. The thing is, the guest does not label themselves by age. 62% of everybody between the ages of 65 and 69 say they're older, but they would not use the word old. That same age group calls themselves middle-aged. Unfortunately, those who design for them do not think of them as middle-aged. And even those 70 and 75, half of them will not see themselves as old, just older. That doesn't mean that they don't know how old they are. That with me, they don't feel how old they are. And when you create an avatar, who you would like as your guest, don't think about age, think about stage. Now, where's the money? 3 areas. There are 3 specific cohorts I'm going to talk about very quickly, because if you are creating an avatar, by which I mean in your own mind, a picture of your guest, the perfect guest for you, who would it be? Well, you can start with their stage, whether or not they have mobility issues, whether or not they're very robust and they're interested in adventure, whether or not they're coming as a couple. But there are 3 particular cohorts that are growing exponentially, and I want you to know who they are. One you probably already know, female or women travelers. In the next 10 years, boomer women will be the fastest growing travel demographic. What is a boomer? Anybody who born between 1946 and 1964. There's an 18-year gap. Theoretically, a mother and daughter could be both boomers, theoretically. They're 18 years apart, no more. 64% of all travelers
I think there is,
worldwide.
good evening, everybody. I think there is echo.
Thank you. And 79% already have booked their vacations by the mid-January. In other words, these are not a cohort that waits for last-minute deals or bargains. And if you're advertising, you should know that. You should know that these are early responders, spending at least $2,500 on every trip they take. And here's something that may not be known to you, because it was even a surprise to me, that 80% of the women made their own travel decisions, including the 63% that are traveling with husbands. And this goes on over and over again. Women are making these decisions. So when you create your avatar, think about the female avatar. We're also grandparents, 67 million grandparents in the USA, 1.5 billion worldwide. According to the AARP, the skip generation, which wasn't even a word, it simply didn't exist until 2 years ago. Skip generation travel simply meant that grandparents were traveling with grandchildren and the parents weren't there. I do this all the time. I'm already creating a trip in New York City for theater for a 5-year-old granddaughter, right? So here we go. The skip generation trips are extremely important, particularly if you're a cruise ship, if you're a riverboat line, a hotel that has facilities for gyms that say no children allowed. That's the first thing you see in the gym or in the pool. How could you make it allowed? What could you do that would create the safety that would allow skip generations to actually exercise together? Think about it. This is what I mean by the avatar. And third, and maybe most surprising, are the caregivers. of this world. It's not a surprise that in our consortium consulting at the Ageless Traveler, we have Dr. Carol Sargent, who is a facilitator for travel, for caregivers, and even people with early onset Alzheimer's that want to travel on their own or are traveling with caregivers. There are 41.8 million caregivers of adults, not children, in the United States, many billions worldwide. And if you take a look at their ages, again, it will surprise you. The average age of the caregiver of somebody who's 65 or older is about their same age. What does it mean? It means that spouses are traveling together. It means that people of different mobilities are traveling together as never before. When we think of a travel cohort, we usually think of people of the same abilities. That's not the case of the ageless traveler. One of their greatest barriers is that their spouses or their companions, friends, can't travel anymore. Or if they can't travel the way they do. And so creating multi-mobility itineraries is so important in attracting the ageless traveler. Now, after you've created your avatar and you know who you want to reach, let's innovate. Let's innovate in two ways. One, through messaging. Now, there's a problem. I challenge everybody listening to go and get a decent picture, a decent image of older active adults on the web. I really would like to see it. And in fact, I'm going to ask you, if you do have good photos that you use, we won't steal them, don't worry, because they're hard to find, good images of active older adults, I'd like to see it, because it's really, really difficult to get these images. What I would like to do and tell you a little bit of a secret about messaging is this. There's a whole different aspect of tourism for the ageless traveler. The younger traveler, and everybody, wants good experiences. They want to see something beautiful. They want good food, relaxation, meeting new people, all the buzzwords. You know all this stuff. What you may not know is that the National Institute of Health says that tourism increases longevity. Now, why would that be? Well, because one of the problems with aging is your own self-esteem. People become invisible. There's even something that's called learned helplessness. People are trying to help you so much that you feel helpless. When you travel, you're taking control. You'd be surprised how many older travelers want independent travel. And tour packages actually become a harder sell. You would think would be the other way around. But they love the idea, and I shouldn't say they, we love the idea of being in control of what we're doing every single day, choosing our own food, choosing our own transportation. It helps us acquire leisure skills because remember, we used to work. Now we have maybe 30 years ahead of us of leisure. You have to be skilled at understanding leisure. And travel helps you do that. It increases life satisfaction and therefore it increases your longevity. These are incredible messages that have to be subtly applied, but can be applied in your messaging to the ageless traveler, along with a good image, if you can find it. Another innovation that's very much needed is staff training. We are a very young industry when it comes to employment. In fact, the median age of employees in the tourism industry is under the age of 30. And hotel restaurants try to hire. It's even been criticism. There's a company called Ladders. Ladders means the ladder of career, that has named tourism the fourth most ageist industry in the United States. And I'll tell you why. Because there is a preference, and possibly a very good reason for a preference, for younger people to be hired. But that is a staff issue. And of course, ad agencies are way up there too with very, very young people. So if your ads and your staff do not understand the ageless traveler because they themselves are so young. You have to train them in a different way. And I can tell you by doing staff training with young people, it takes only about 45 minutes to get them to think differently about the older customer. The older customer comes to the registration desk. They're asked what their car registration is. They're given a piece of paper that they can't read, that they're supposed to fill out. And of course, the younger person sees them as maybe a little bit pathetic or annoying. It wouldn't hurt to have bigger print as soon as you register. And to understand that, a younger person has to be able to see through the eyes or lens of the guest. And we actually do that. We have paper glasses that you can put on, and you can actually see what it means to have a little cataract or glaucoma or even presbyopia, so you can't see very well. So it makes a big difference. And people of every age begin to understand better who they are dealing with and who their avatar is. Now, we're coming to the end here, and I wanted to bring out a few things that I would hope will be part of our conversation when Jürgen opens it up for your questions. What are we thinking of? There are certain issues that really need to be dealt with that are brand new. These are new issues because there was a time that not only were there so much fewer of us, we didn't travel, right? We are traveling now. In fact, in the United Nations group that I work with, on the board of the Global NGO Communications Committee is a representative of African travel youth. And this gentleman told me that there's an explosion of travel domestically within Africa of older adults. And this is not a first world, a third world, an emerging world, an under-resourced world. This is the world that we're talking about. So people are traveling at different fitness levels together. What are you doing to accommodate that? Older adults need bathrooms. They need to know where they are and where they can find them. They need a level of accessibility that is not what is required by law. They may very well be able to get up the steps. They just may have to do it a little bit slower than everyone else. They're looking for more than sightseeing. They've been there. The Ageless Traveler has been a lot of places. But what's unique? What new experiences can you give them? Can you integrate lifelong learning? And very importantly, can you create post-trip connections? Another aspect of our Ageless Traveler to the consumer, which, as I explained to you, is a podcast, blog, YouTube channel, is that we have a Facebook salon.
Hi, let me know when you're ready. I'm in a webinar, actually.
And the Facebook salon, I think we're having some people who aren't muted. In the Facebook salon, not only do people meet each other to travel together, but more importantly, when they travel on their own and they meet new people, they join the salon so they can speak with each other. They don't lose the person that they met on a trip. They continue the friendship. And for those of you who are not from the United States, you may not know that our Surgeon General has just announced loneliness as the new smoking. That loneliness cuts our lifespan by 7 years. And one thing that you can do through the world of tourism is make connections. And one thing that the industry can do is help make those connections. Are you integrating robotics and AI, also called age tech? I could do an entire webinar just on age technology, age enhancement technology. I'll just give you one small one. And that is, make sure we can plug stuff in. Most plugs are black, and you give us a black plug, and we can't find it. So that's a simple part of the technology. But the second part of the technology is alerts. There are so many ways of having something in a hotel room that will alert people if they set it properly, so they know when to take their medicine or get up at a particular time. So all of these things, we're wired. Do not think of the Ageless Traveler as tech dummies. We didn't grow up with it, but we know a lot about it. and we certainly can use it. So have it when it's available. And, health maintenance is part of great travel. Now, I'm not talking about wellness travel. Wellness travel is a wonderful thing, and again, a separate topic. But just maintaining your health so that, for example, the two most important issues in the health maintenance life of the ageless traveler is salt and sugar. Unfortunately, most of us are diabetic, and that's worldwide, and many of us have high blood pressure. And yet, it is very difficult to find anything on a restaurant menu that's low salt or sugar-free. You'll find vegan, you'll find vegetarian, and very, very many fewer people in the world are vegan or vegetarian, as opposed to having a blood pressure, right, or a diabetic issue. And that is worldwide. And by the way, it's unfortunately for children as well as older adults. So take a look and see if you're helping us maintain our health in subtle ways, one being culinary. And last but not least, we have something that's part of the Ageless Traveler program called Ageless Ambassador. People want to travel to volunteer. Not only do they want to increase their skills, but they want to take those skills home and continue to volunteer where they are. In our case, we're very fortunate in the US. We have an agency in the United States government called AmeriCorps Senior. You have to be over the age of 55 to be part of that. And they are part of our Ageless Ambassador program. So if you have a volunteer program that's associated with your trip itineraries, part of your hotel suggestions, your concierge service, we certainly want to know about it, because we can bring that person back home and show them where they can locally continue to volunteer in their community. So this is a beautiful program, a joint program. Many of you know Road Scholar. I'll be meeting with Road Scholar very soon because they're interested in making this happen. I think any tour group like Colette Tours and Road Scholar and Oat and many others that particularly emphasize the ageless or older traveler would be very interested in shepherding them through the world of volunteerism. So we end where we began. So many thousands of hours of free time. They all should be captured by our industry. And of course, you all know universal design. You all know about accommodating, some required by law, some you've taken on yourself. But I want to make clear that there is a lot of geroscience behind this. We know the three things that the ageless traveler needs in their environment. I call it ABC. One is accessibility. That's what we deal with all the time. That's what you know how to do with regard to your ramps and your pools and so on. But that is very obvious there, and it's very appreciated. But it's the invisible that's really experienced. Do you have biophilia around you? What's biophilia? Plants, nature, something so important to bring awe back into the life of the older adult. And C stands for convenience. Things should be easy and convenient and stress-free. And that is something that everyone will appreciate. I'm going to give you one little example here. In Singapore, I was just told, I was over at Stanford University where they have what they call the Centennial Summit. They're mapping, they're actually doing a map of the pace of the 100-year life. And we were at this conference together, and the gentleman who's the Minister of Tourism of Singapore was there. And he said to me, you know, Adrian, we're very age-friendly. We wanted to put a button on our street lights. So if people needed longer time to walk across the street, they could press this button. And we saw that other places that did it had a picture of an old person with a cane, just kind of hunched over. And that was their symbol to press the button. And nobody pressed the button. So we put a picture of a young woman with a baby carriage on our button, and everybody pressed the button, not only the older adults, but also the people with the baby carriages, also people who had bicycles that they were walking across the street. And a lot of other people, we don't know why they press the button. They just want more time. So you can create convenience without ageism for the older adult. But there's a lot more to say about the environment. And I was promising everybody that they would get a download of a new ebook that we came out with that Jürgen thinks is very funny. It's called Why Can't I See the Shampoo? And it's because when you get into the shower, and some of you know just what I'm talking about, you have the conditioner, your shampoo, you're in the hotel. So it's a brand new shower. You don't know what's going on. You don't know which is the shampoo. You don't know which is the conditioner. What's the lotion? You get out, you got to get your glasses. Now you're cold. You go back in, you look again, and you carefully arrange everybody. Why is that? I have been to so many conferences of vendors to hotels, and I look at their beautiful shampoo bottles, and they don't seem to know that if you put gold on white, I can't see it. So there's hundreds of little things in this book called Designing for the Ageless Traveler. And a few of them is color. We're very color sensitive. A lot of us have glaucoma, or cataracts, and blue and cool colors reduce our ability to see. Black on black doesn't work for us. We like warmer colors. Our depth perception goes a little bit. Our muscle mass isn't as great as it should be. We know exactly how much the average woman at age 65 can lift comfortably. We know how many inches above your shoulders we can lift something. So when I go into a closet and I see that high shelf, I don't know what I'm standing there like a little Laputian. We don't need to do that. We have to think about these small things. And so that book just has hundreds and hundreds of examples so that you can go lens your rooms, you lens the cabins, lens your bus, your train, even your equipment for the gym, to make sure that it is the proper, not for the disabled, they have specific rules, but for the average ageless traveler. Now, we want to hear from you. We want you to tell us that you're interested in a special interest group on the Ageless Traveler, that you're interested in learning more, that you have a lot to contribute. The best people that the tourism industry can learn from are each other. There's no doubt about that. So if you go to the World Travel Network's contact page, wtn.travel/contact, simply complete the form, tell us why you're interested in this, that you want to be part of this. You'll get the book, Why Can't I See the Shampoo, with hundreds of hints and tips for the environment. And as I said at the beginning, some of you didn't hear this, I see all of you as advocates, champions. What do I mean by advocate? Champions for the mature, lifelong traveler. And that champion includes encouraging travel, not seeing people as invisible, making sure that if you are looking at AI and using artificial intelligence in the database for you to make advertising decisions, that the AI isn't told to stop at age 60 or 55, but to continue to gather data for people over that age. So it's organic. In everything you're doing, you're an advocate for that growing cohort. So go over to the travel page, the contact page at WTN.travel, and also give us your thoughts and your solutions to some of the issues. So in my cover slide, I had a very negative thing that happened in 2013 where the British tourism industry left billions of pounds on the table because they underestimated the 65 plus traveler. And I said, times have changed. Well, this is what I would like the next time I speak to have on my cover page. Tourism named most age-friendly industry, record-breaking revenue to follow. So that's what I have to say right now to all of you. But I would like to have Jürgen, I'm going to stop sharing now. I'd like to have Jürgen come on and be with us to honcho a Q&A or a statement that any of you would like to make, or a solution, or even a problem that you've seen with this. And don't be afraid to say, hey, you know what? The Ageless Traveler is not my thing. It's not where I want to go. And because I'd be interested to know why. Okay, Jürgen, take it away.
No, it was fascinating. Thank you so much. And I learned a lot. And I loved when we first talked, we talked about the shampoo, because I can really say over the years, and I stay about 150 days or nights in hotels every year. The worst thing is when you're in the shower, and it happens all the time. You're trying to figure out what's the shampoo, what's the conditioner, what's soap. You have to get back out, and it's slippery. And yes, there are definitely things they can be improved here, and hopefully we can contribute a little bit through our new advocacy group for the Ageless Traveler. There have been some good comments here in the chat, and I invite you to actually verbalize these comments, and you can get on the platform here if you just go to a reaction. If you go down on your screen, if you're using the Zoom app, you see a button reaction, just raise your hand. And I can see this, and we can give you the microphone. And I think there is one gentleman already. Sharon is already raising her hand. So welcome, Sharon. We're going to put you on here. You're unmuted, so go ahead.
Hi, it's great to see both of you. I put on the chat box that there's in the UK a collection of photos that are gorgeous and they're free. And I put the link there, and they would keep growing and growing, increasing in the numbers and types of images. They're crisp and clean and very very user friendly.
That's what
I actually
You see it?
I clicked you away here. So let's try that again. You put it in the chat group, right?
Sorry?
You said you put this on the chat group?
Yes, Center for Better Aging.
Oh, I see. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yes. Yes,
Yeah.
there.
So everyone here should if you'd like, get connected with the Center for Better Aging, because there's a lot of other information that comes through that is good internationally as well as just for the UK. And you'll get their emails, but they also give you an updated set of photos that have been added. They're beautiful. Older adult.
One of the
Why
things
don't
I
we do
wanted
this?
to,
I'm sorry. No, Adriana, what I'm saying, why don't we do this? I'm going to print this out here, and then we're going to share it on the website for the interest group. So we have these resources for anyone to see also later. And thank you so much for this. I think that's good feedback. We have Diana, and Diana McIntyre. She runs the community tourism group. She is the chapter woman for the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism. She has been a member of the World Tourism Network, an essential member for the World Tourism Network ever since we started, and she's in Jamaica. Welcome, Diana.
Hi, thank you very much. Am I allowed to say something now?
please.
I just wanted to let you know that I'm very excited about this market, because I've had many years of experience of having senior citizen groups. We used to call them that, senior citizen groups coming for years to where I live and where my hotel was in Mandeville in the mountains. And what I found is that they were younger than young people. They wanted to do everything. They didn't want to be at a beach. They wanted to go and discover the community. They wanted to go and talk to people. And I really enjoyed them a lot. And many of them were more healthy than young people. So, you know, there's an assumption that when you're dealing with the ageless traveler, that they're old and they're going to be difficult to deal with, but it's not so. I'm a baby boomer myself, and I find myself more energetic than young people who will get tired very easily. So I just wanted to let you know, I enjoyed your presentation. I'm excited about it. I like the new term, ageless traveler, which was called senior citizen before, and look forward to working along with you.
Well, this is thrilling to me. I'll say two things. I mentioned walking. So one of the great longevity builders is Simply Walking. And on our advisory board is Risa Olinsky and Elena Lamb. And Risa is the president of a nonprofit called Free Walkers. Most of the people are, say, 60 to 82 and walk 50 miles in one day. And I can tell you that I personally walk about 18 is easy. 34 is my limit. I never did the 50. But the fact is, that's what's going on. So if you're itinerary builders, looking at these walking vacations for older adults is amazing. And I love Jamaica. And I will say that Jamaica is a terrific place for skip generation, where you are taking your grandchildren. Fabulous location for that. So let's look at that for you as well as the Ageless Traveler.
Thank you, Adriana. Okay, we have Johnny. Tell us where you're from, Johnny. You raised your hand. The microphone is yours.
Hi, I'm the executive director of SAT, Society for Accessible Travel and Hospitality. Hi, Adrian, long time.
Hi, we know each other very well, yes.
We have known each other for a very long time.
Very
Fabulous presentation. Thank you so much. And so many things that you said really, really strikes a bell in all of us. It's very, very important because I have seen people put together trips like 10 European capitals in 12 days and run on 70-year-olds and 75-year-olds through that. And most of them come back. And my sister was one of them. She came back with a broken collarbone because from the rushing in, and then she had a fall. So it's very, very important that the industry has to know what to do. It's not like you always say, no problem, I can handle it. But then they have no clue or what to do. Or for example, the shampoo and the conditioner. If you are a 20-year-old, 30-year-old, you have no idea what we are talking about, the difficulties. So this is a very important market. I'm glad that you did this webinar and really, really happy.
Well, we are sister markets. I've known the Society for Accessible Travel and Hospitality for a long time. These are advocates. Now you're talking an advocate. These are the advocates for the people who really do have wheelchairs, who have been disabled for many years. That's a different kind of issue. Ours is hidden disabilities, and we all have them. But we are sisters. We are sisters in this. And you have risen the standards. The accessibility community has risen the standards for everybody. And it really is remarkable. But I have a slogan, which is pace, not face.
Yes.
Face means your wrinkles. Everybody looks at the wrinkles. That's how you know if somebody's old. It's not that. It's their pace.
Yes.
Pace, not face. So if you are building something for the older adult, they're very healthy, as our young lady from Jamaica said, very active. They may simply be a drop slower, but they can do the same thing. Okay.
Yes. And I just want to give you an example of one of the hotels that I saw in Sri Lanka, the Taj. They have a whole, especially for the women travelers, if they are traveling alone, they have a whole floor where you have a camera that you can watch from inside. So if somebody knocks on the door, you know who is knocking, so you don't have to open the door or run the risk of anybody, any unwanted person coming into your room. And they give you all the other equipments that you need. For example, somebody who is hard of hearing because of age, they give you the vibrating alarm, and then they have the blinking lights in the room. So some of the hotels are really looking into the sector.
And notice that that is very useful for every age.
Yes.
Safety is for every age. So we don't have to be so age essential about these things.
Exactly.
And I love the idea with the camera. This is really because how many times someone knocks on your door in a hotel and you don't know exactly who's knocking. That's a really, really good point.
Yes.
And Tash, of course,
is
a class on its own. You know, I've stayed at the Tash in Mumbai at the Gate of India. It's a fantastic
yes, that's
property.
a fabulous
very,
hotel.
very well
This
managed.
is in Colombo.
In Colombo, okay.
Colombo, Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka just about last month, actually, and I stayed at one of the Jet Wings hotel, what was also wonderful. They had the largest swimming pool I've ever seen in a hotel. And Sri Lanka is a wonderful destination to travel.
Yes, it is.
So I can say that. Maybe I want to hear, I'm going to put him on the spot, so hopefully he's going to forgive me. But there's my good friend Frank Wismek. Not only is he very active in SCOL, He has been, I think you're retired now, but he has been a hotelier that's still active with the a Marriott branded hotel in Ontario, in Canada, all his life. So what do you say about everything discussed here? You guys have shampoo people can identify? Welcome, Frank. Sorry, can you unmute yourself, please? Click on unmute, please. On your computer should be a mute button somewhere. We cannot hear you. Frank, we cannot hear you. Can you click on unmute yourself, please, on the screen? There should be mute on the left side. There should be a...
Yeah, okay.
There we go. There we go.
Hello from Punta Cana. I'm in Punta Cana, actually.
Oh,
I
wonderful.
ran away from snow. Marriott has made it mandatory to install these units, shampoo, air condition, and other things. So it's visible in each bathroom. We sometimes people asking for those small bottles. We have them, but we put those. We install the big units in each bathroom.
But does it say with a really large S for shampoo that you can see it when you're without
it
glasses?
says shampoo or conditioner or body soap.
Okay. Well, nice to hear from you. I hope you enjoy your time away from the snow in Ontario.
Yeah, it was snowing the other day, but I'm here for
Wonderful.
10
Dominican
days.
Republic, right? Are you in the Dominican Republic now?
Yes, I'm here.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. At the Rio Bamboo.
And anyone who... Yeah,
the best thing is the weather here. Everything else, I had issues.
And Frank, maybe I can give this away, is originally from Croatia, if I understand this correctly. And we actually met in Croatia at the SCAR conference, and I had a wonderful stay at the Hilton in Rijeka.
Rijeka, yeah.
What a wonderful place to stay, and they did have the shampoo in really large letters, and you had a really nice view where you can sit outside. Another thing I noticed in hotels, what is so important for me, especially people who work also in their room, not to have to crawl under the table and plug in your computer. If it's all visible on the desk, it makes life a lot easier. And many times, when you go to a hotel, you have to maybe plug the computer in. The worst I've seen is desks, really nice desks, but there's no plug for the computer, so you have to plug it in on your bed, and hope you have a long enough cable, or just sit on your bed while you watch the table and the computer. But so there's a lot I think we can also contribute to the subject.
Absolutely.
When you're talking plugs, when we built a new courtyard by Marriott Burlington, we started in 2016 and opened it in 2018. I put 17 plugs in each room, including 7 SUV, and all the plugs are on a high level, so you don't have to go down and look for them.
Wonderful.
Including on the lamps.
So when you go to Ontario and Toronto, you want to stay at the courtyard. Is the courtyard right in Toronto, or?
No, ours is in Burlington, just suburb, which is
okay.
Yeah, between the Toronto and Niagara on the lake.
Wonderful, nice area. Well, please.
I wanted to mention one small thing here, because our book, Why Can't I See the Shampoo, is full of this exact type of thing. White on black, not black on black. Don't crawl under the desk to put in a plug. But many of you here are either working with spas or have spas in your hotels, and they sell products. So it's not just the shampoo that you give away in the hotels. It's when you select your spa products, whoever your buyer is. And one of the things that goes with a healthy, super healthy, Ageless Traveler is wrist strength, so that you can open bottles. So anytime that you do it, and again, if you're a timeshare listener and you're having equipment in a kitchen, you might want to have one of those sticky round things that people put on top of a bottle so that they can get a better grip. It's called grip strength. And it's one of the things that we don't think about except every day of our life when we're trying to open something up. So these are the tiny little things, and they cost nothing. That's the interesting part. They cost absolutely nothing to create the environment and to accommodate for inclusion. Okay?
Yeah, and Jeannie here, so Frank can give this to the powers to be. She writes in the chat group here that she stays at Marriott a lot, and yes, they do have the shampoo bottles, and they're quite big, but they're all the same size and sometimes the same color, so you still cannot see it. So maybe you can give it to the powers to be to put like a big letter on it and maybe in different colors. That would probably help. But we're not only worried about the shampoo, but it's quite such an interesting thing to mention. But Frank, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy your time off. And we speak to you soon.
Thank
so
you.
anyone who wants to add something to this discussion, please do. Just raise your hand, and we give you the microphone. And if not, maybe I want to put on the spot, if I may. I called her for years, Professor Snow White, and she runs our education interest group, and she is in Belgrade, in Serbia. And actually, I visited Belgrade and had a wonderful time. And I stayed at the Grand Hyatt there, what is also a wonderful hotel. And it's so reasonable to stay there. I don't know, Professor Snesna, if you can unmute yourself, or if I don't know if your microphone is available, but I would like to hear from you a little bit how the ageless traveler situation is in Serbia. I'm not sure, maybe she is not she comes in as a guest. So if you cannot hear us, I can understand that. Or if you cannot unmute yourself, but if you like, just join in later. We're going to be watching for you, or raise your hand. But we have also good support of us and good friend Burkhard from Germany. Burkhard Herberder is like I would say, the lively version of a directory. He published the World Tourism Directory for many years. It was a huge book, like a phone book, all put together basically by him. If anyone knows anything about anything, it's Burkhard. He's in Germany. And let me put you on the spotlight here. And you raised your hand, and welcome, Burkhard.
Okay, thank you, Jürgen. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Of course, when you publish a worldwide tourism directory, of course, you have a huge network. And of course, you know a lot of people, but you don't know everything. So I just have a question. I was a little bit interrupted during this session here, and I maybe ask a question which already has answered. Is there a plan for from the tourist industry, for the tourist industry, to give some kind of certifications? Let's say a 5-star system for hotels, resorts, and so on, especially who provide services for elder people, like what Adriana said just 5 minutes ago. So this is where younger people don't think about. And small things which can make the life easier. Not everybody of the elder generation is like Adriana walking 35 kilometers or miles or what it was. I think I know about something like this was planned, and I think Jürgen knows this about Chinese tourists with Professor Wolfgang Arold, this system. But maybe something will come for the elder generation. I'm now 58. In 7 years, my year, born 65, go into pension, into retirement. And this is huge. And the request for this information is very important. And I just think loud. I'm not in the operational business. And yeah, so these are my 2 cents. Thank you.
Well, Jürgen, you had this idea from the beginning, which was that if there was enough interest, and we see that there is, I'm just feeling so wonderful right now because I see the amount of interest, that there would be a program, a certification program, with a checklist, and a very clear checklist, and also the ability to review for itineraries, for transportation, and for accommodations, to check off the boxes for the ageless traveler. And it really would not be that difficult to do. It's much easier than, let's say, being green or even sustainable, Burkhard, would be to make some of these very small adjustments in staff training, in products, in visibility. I call it sensory. Somebody mentioned hearing. 50% of everybody over the age of 55 has some small hearing loss. So we're not talking about a small group of disabled people. We are talking about just about everybody, and as you say, to come. And just because I can walk that number of miles, I'm also part of a hiking club, and I'm the slowest. They have to wait. And so I don't have really the right, we all need a little something. And we can check off those boxes. So I'm hoping, I'm going to throw this over to you, Jürgen, how we can have maybe a working group to conceptualize what a certification should look like.
I like that idea. So we should put maybe have another meeting with those that are interested in, and see how we can put this together. But Burkhard, thank you very much. And let me give the spotlight to Klaus Ehrlich. He raised a hand. We're going to go to Professor Snow White in Serbia after this. Klaus, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, good evening to this worldwide audience. First of all, thanks to Adriana for excellent presentation. We've been doing a lot of this from the very small provider side. I heard Hyatt and Marriott, etc. I'm coming from just the opposite, small rural cottages, individual homes, etc., which is just the other side, but also highly attractive for visitors who, as you very well said, they've seen it all. Now, I would like to jump on this certification topic. And we did a project a couple of years ago. We even registered a trademark, European trademark, this silver suitcase, because the idea was to create this kind of certification. If anybody wants this brand, tell me, I can sell it. It's a joke. Because it never took off. We found out that there's one thing that, let's say, even the ageless traveler, even if we use this new term, but they don't want to put into this box as an ageless or ageless. They know in the end they are, it's another word for being senior whatsoever. It sounds nice, but they completely understand what it's about. They don't want to be in this box. They want to be one of other travelers. So what we found highly interesting, and Adriana also commented this, if you want to attract this segment, simply put visual elements and descriptions in the product presentation that appeal to this target group, like stressing you have accessibility facilities, putting pictures of people of this age group instead of only young people, etc. This for the promotion has a lot better effect than branding and certifying. That's our experience. If I can put this small coin in the box. Thank you.
Good feedback, Klaus.
Excellent feedback. Two very quick things here. First of all, there's some surprising things that you can say. Some words that resonate well, and that is longevity travel. You're right. You never use the word age or ageism. You try to be age non-essential. That's and that's a skill in marketing. But longevity travel certified, that's something that we can talk about. That's why I think we need a brainstorming group. There's no doubt that people no longer even, I could show it to you. We have a senior center in Palm Springs. God forbid it should be called a senior center. Nobody would show up. Forget about it. And it's named after the founder. It's just called the Mizell Center. You have to look to figure out that it's a senior center. But we don't use those words. And you're right. We don't want to join that club. And as I said at the beginning, we never think of ourselves as old, maybe older, but never old. So that's part of it. But the other part is the industry. The industry sees us as disabled, and they don't want to get involved with those kinds of issues. And that's not the cohort we're talking about. So I think we have to define and show that the money is there. And then we can find the right words to make it clear. It could be an intergenerational certification. That's also a word people like, but we do have to think about that, because you're absolutely right. If it's labeled as a senior center, nobody's going to go. So it's something that we need to be thoughtful about.
No, and you're absolutely right. No one wants to be older or elder. You know, I have a hesitation even getting my 5% discount here at the Foodland grocery store, because they're going to want to see my ID that I'm really in that age to qualify. So who wants to do that? You know, so I pay the 5% more. I'm not even arguing.
Oh, it's true. I wrote an article saying, should we abolish the senior discount? But then everybody said, we're not seniors, but we want the discount. So we still want the discount.
Thank you, Klaus. Let me give the floor to our good supporter and friend, Professor Snefana. I call her Snow White. It's so much easier. But in Serbia, and she's a wonderful lady. Actually, I spent a day with you, and you drove me around in your car, and we saw so much in one day, unbelievable. And Belgrade, I have to say, is really a city worth visiting. It's for me, it was very inexpensive, especially when I'm used to prices here in Hawaii. Everything was like a quarter of what we pay here. And it's wonderful. It's some of the best food in the world. And it should become hopefully it's also a destination that is, I think, very good in health tourism. You have excellent medical facilities. So listening to all of this, Professor, what is your feedback? And welcome again.
Good evening. This is very interesting topic, really. And I can tell you that Serbia, and especially Belgrade, white city, is these days completely white because it's snowing and it's wonderful. So I'm Snow White, so from a snow city, from white city. And I can tell you that Serbia is a very good destination for the people for all ages, especially for Trezijem age, golden age, for people who are in their best ages, I mean, after 50, 60, 70, 80, even 100 years old, because we have a very good spas, we have very good medical center, but only not for ill people, actually, to enjoy themselves. Also, prices here in Serbia are excellent. I can tell you that I was dealing with the senior citizens about 4 decades ago in London, in Newgaters, London, when they have specialized programs for the golden age tourists. It means people who are over 60s, and the best money was from that. The best money is from that segment of the tourists, because people who are stop working, they have enough time. Many of them have enough money, and they travel where they like, how they like. They spend money for what they want. For example, in Serbia, our domestic tourists are traveling, a lot of them, after they, when they're going to pension, they're traveling around the country, and also they're traveling around the world as well. But I can tell you that this segment of a tourist is very, very important, because they bring a lot of different aspects to tourist destinations. They like to mingle with the local people, and local people like elderly tourists, especially here in Serbia, because they can discuss with them, especially in the urban areas in Serbia. They can deliver good food for them. As you know, Jürgen, food is excellent here. So you can promote your destination in many ways, through natural beauties, through cultural resources, through gastronomy and such things. So I think that we have to be very careful with this segment of the tourists, because they bring not only the money to the destination, but they bring spirit of the country as well. And it is very interesting because the culture of the people who are traveling to the foreign countries is very important to bring a new culture to the new destination. And because of that, for example, here in Serbia, we have a lot of tourists from these golden ages who are traveling around the country. A lot of boats, cruising ships are coming on the Danube River, because the Danube is going through Serbia. And in Belgrade, we have more than 500 ships a year, with mostly tourists who are more than 60 years old. And they are very, very satisfied with what they have here in Belgrade, but they are coming here from Vienna through Bratislava, Budapest, Belgrade, Novi Sad, and they are really satisfied with all the whole trip, which is very, very important. And because of that, the most important thing is to find good products which you can sell to them on a reasonable prices. And the gastronomy is very important for these people. They like culture, they like nature, they like gastronomy, and also they like national parks and the nature which is protected, where they can see how can I say, the real scenery of the country. And because of that, I think that this topic is very, very interesting and also very important, and hope that we will have another meeting to continue it. Thank you very much. And good night from snowy New City.
Thank you, Professor.
In the Vice City and the
That was very inspiring. I've been to Serbia many times. And
me
and
too.
Belgrade, wonderful. But I did want to mention why I think this is such an important area of the world. First of all, it is definitely a wellness. I worked with the World Bank on creating some funding for spas, because in Eastern Europe, the spas, including in Serbia, are really the beginning of wellness tourism. They were really at the forefront because it's part of the lives of the people there. It's not just an add-on. But the second reason it's so important to American tourists over the age of 60 is that while we were younger and working, we didn't have access to Serbia. It was very difficult to travel there. So these are places we haven't seen yet. I felt that same way in Slovenia, in Bosnia, to be able to see places that I couldn't see when I was no problem going to London. But it's now that we can go to these places, and we can't wait to see them. And there's yachting trips coming into Serbia, so many wonderful things. So yeah, it's a really perfect population for that particular country.
Yes, I can tell you that this Balkan area provide you to see different countries in a short time, if you like. If you have a longer time, then you can stay, because you can see Serbia, you can see Montenegro, Northern Macedonia, Bulgaria, Romania, Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina. So there are so many different places. And for example, in Serbia, we have more than 500 spas. They're not all very well done, but many of them are really excellent. And of course, we need to improve some of older spas, but please do come in. You will have a private local guide if you have it, Thomas. I was a private, because I'm a licensed guide, so I will be your guide for all those who would like to come. No charge, of course, but I will show you the best places not only in Belgrade, but in Serbia too, because there are so many places.
Well, be careful with saying no charge. You may have to declare bankruptcy after that. So.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Better than a senior discount, right?
Yeah,
We'll be there.
But Professor, I can definitely vouch for this. I rented a car and was driving around the entire region. Montenegro, also wonderful country. Bosnia Herzegovina. No one even thinks about this country, and it's wonderful. It's so inexpensive. I mean, you can have a dinner with wine and excellent food for less than $6. And and then Serbia, of course, is the jewel of all of us. You're the largest country, and Belgrade is the center of the entire area. And when I was there and I talked to, what was the gentleman who was in charge of Belgrade tourism you introduced me to? We went to his office.
Mr. Popovic, the director of tourist organization of Belgrade, yes.
Yes, and he told me about a new initiative, what you just kind of mentioned, about open borders between Serbia, Northern Macedonia, Albania, and I think
Yes.
Bosnia. Did this material at all? And so what
Yes,
makes tourism, of
yes,
course, a lot
is
easier?
we had the last year it was the second wine open festival where we have more than 800 wineries from these three countries, Albania, Northern Macedonia, and Serbia. And borders, you can cross the border with only with a personal card. You don't need the passport, which is very, very important for travelers. So it is very easy to travel across the borders.
Wonderful.
There's another aspect of this. There are a lot, and now I'm talking from the US point of view, but also Britain. A lot of older adults are buying second homes. And it used to be under the Tuscan sun. Now it's under the Serbian sun. You have Serbia, you have Montenegro, you have Croatia. Croatia is almost saturated already with American retirees. They're on the Ageless Traveler podcast. We have several people as guests who are in the business of bringing US folks to second homes. And every one of them will tell you that the Balkans is really popping. But before people would buy there, they want to travel there. And so there is this, it's like medical tourism is all really part of this Ageless Traveler. Second homes is all abroad is also part of this Ageless Traveler. I just wanted to add that it's a big topic, that's all.
No, and thank
Yes,
you.
it is very important, the second homes. We have a lot of foreigners who are coming here. We don't have a sea, but we have so many rivers, lakes, canals, and really properties are not expensive. And because of that, more and more foreigners are coming and buying a piece of land, houses, and such things. So it is, but before that, as you said, they came here, over here, and they travel around, and they found their spot on the sun, and they buy it. And it's very, very good.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. And hopefully we'll see you again soon, and you can continue helping us with this subject, because I think you're ideally positioned to contribute to it. And I like to go from Serbia to Uganda. And our good friend and also supporter for many years now, Vincent Mugaba. And I like to hear, can travelers that are a little bit older travel to Uganda? Is it okay? You as a tour operator maybe can fill us in a little bit. Welcome, Vincent. If you can unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, Eugen. Yes, travelers, all the travelers do to Uganda, or ageless travelers, I'm now landing. Actually, last year I had many groups, many of our groups, almost 50%, were the ageless travelers, many of them traveling with the younger children, and we had to redesign so many of the itineraries. Fortunately, most of our itineraries are tailored to every client. We don't have a one-size-fits-all. And we realized many of them wanted to spend more time on the journey, spend more time in the community, as well as do the other things that they're trying to do, gorilla tracking and chimpanzees. So yes, they travel. Even I, 52, if I get the chance, I do travel. This year I'm planning to go climbing some of our mountains. One of our clients we had last year will be returning this year and is planning to climb the Rwenzori. I've been in the Rwenzoris before. So yes, they do travel, and we have quite a number of them now. The numbers are going up actually.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vincent, and good luck, and keep us informed, and thanks for your contribution and membership, and you helped with eTurbo News also over the years. Fantastic. So let's go to Kulmut. I don't know exactly where you are, but maybe you can introduce yourself, let us know where you are and what you do, and the microphone is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. So I am from Dubai, originally from India, and I live in Dubai. So you have a fan here. Adrian, that was a wonderful presentation.
I just came back from Dubai. I just came back from Dubai.
Oh, really? I'm
And
attending an accessible tourism conference, in fact, tomorrow morning. And senior citizens, whatever you call them, whether it's Ageless Travel, I'd like to share with you, I've been doing market research, consumer research for more than 30 years, focused on tourism, okay? And I'd like to share with you 2 or 3 trends that I see from this part of the world, which is Middle East and Asia. Asia means whether it's India or whether it's Malaysia or China or whatever, but focus on this part of the world. Number 1, multi-generational travel. We are very family-oriented people here. And family-oriented means that the entire family, probably funded by the grandparents or the senior parents, they will go on a holiday together, down to even a 9-month-old baby. They will go with their house help. They'll go set themselves up in Europe someplace maybe, or in the Far East for a whole month during the summer when it's very hot. That is a trend which is there and it's growing. So the requirements, like you mentioned, multi-mobility itineraries. This is multi-generational itineraries. Everybody may be absolutely with no issues health-wise or requirements of that nature, but they are looking for very different kind of experiences. They want to spend time in the parks, do picnics. They want to go drive into nature. They want to take day trips outside. They needn't necessarily stay in the city itself. The other thing which probably will be fascinating for you, because of this family connections thing, they are interested in shopping. Hugely interested in shopping. Why? Not just for themselves, but they want to carry gifts back home. So whether you are staying in an accommodation which has a concierge who can guide them to the most premium shopping experience kind of places, or whether it's the nearby parks and gardens where the hotel can provide a picnic basket. So there are many, many aspects which have to be considered. The other one is family reunions. By that, what do I mean? You know that there's a lot of migration from Asia, from the Middle East, to developed countries like the US or countries in Europe, where they go to work and they live there, right? Their family members, their children. It's too far to travel back home. It's more expensive. So this trend of family reunions is happening midway. So you're meeting, you're hiring, you're leasing or renting a big villa or a castle in Italy somewhere, and you have 15 family members coming from different parts of the world who are spending 10 days. That requirement, which includes senior citizens or 60-plus parents, meeting their 30-year-old son with grandchildren, a daughter who's unmarried at 29, but maybe studying somewhere else. So that is a huge group, and we're seeing this reunion travel happening a lot. The third angle is people like us with my gray hair, 60 plus, who are into slow tourism. So, do you know something very strange? When you have to apply for a Schengen visa for, people who have to travel from here, they ask you if you're going for 7 days or 10 days for your detailed day-by-day itinerary. Now, I don't want an itinerary. I'm talking about just going and experiencing Barcelona, where I'm planning to go next month with my husband. Just be there, you know, just walk about, culinary experiences, a bit of sightseeing, a bit of culture, a bit of theater, museums. I don't want to have a prescriptive itinerary. So I think the customization of itineraries according to what I want or my neighbor wants is very, very important. But most travel agents and tour operators have a fixed 5-day schedule or a 6-day schedule. See this, see this, see this. I don't want that. And that is a trend we are noticing from here because, again, like you said, you've been to 100+ countries. We've been to 100+ countries. We've done the touristy thing. Now we just want to experience slow travel. And that trend is definitely picking up, especially amongst the ageless traveler.
So this works right into my love of creating the avatar. This is really what you're talking about here. For the US, the same kind of travel you're talking about is very popular with people of color. People of color here in the US travel is families. In fact, I made a joke to my friend, I wish I had the t-shirt franchise because it's always the Johnson family and 500 people with the same t-shirt. So it's a fantastic avatar question that mostly larger venues, ships, tourist boards should think about. Do they want the intergenerational group? Because they're going to have groups of 9 to 12 people of different age groups. And if they can accommodate that, they have tremendous Asian and people of color market. So that's an avatar issue. You heard Sharon Rose, who's on our advisory board. She's a gerontologist, but what kind? Intergenerational. So it's a big, big kind of travel. And the other, it's a little bit, people get mad at me when I say this, but tour operators who create those itineraries, they really need some help from us because those itineraries, we are looking for independent travel, slower travel, culturally rich travel, and like the old book, you're all too young to remember. If it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium. I don't know if you remember that old book, but it was a book about quick tourism and how you could see 10 countries in 3 days. It was called If It's Tuesday, It Must Be Belgium. We don't want that anymore. So you're absolutely right. I mean, what a great discussion. By the way, I saw a gentleman named Yan Sunday who had his hand up and then, we were talking so much he took it down, but Yan, I apologize for that. I did see you there.
No, we can get Jan up, no problem.
And I was thinking about you talked about. Sorry.
Give me 1 second. We give you the microphone. I put you on the spotlight. But let me just say for Kumud, thank you so much. And I have to admit, I've been to Dubai this year. I spent 3 weeks. And if they would have asked me at the border what my itinerary is, I didn't know. But I stayed 3 weeks literally at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, one of my favorite hotels in the world. And went to the gym, went to the pools. They're open 24 hours. I just had great food. I didn't even have to go anywhere. Yeah, I'd made it to the Mall of the Emirates one time. I've seen that many times. I didn't have an itinerary. And so I think if I would have asked this at the Schengen visa, I said, this guy is nuts. I mean, there's no way you can stay 3 weeks at a hotel and not leave. So I agree with you on this. And in Dubai, it's a lot easier because no one would ask you. You just put your passport on a machine and it opens the doors for you, and it's a wonderful destination, and your contribution was very good. But let's get to Jan, and I'm going to put him on the spotlight here. And thanks again, Kumudu.
I heard about...
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Hello, Frank. I heard about the Balkans, and when you travel around there are some funny things, because at some borders, it depends on the control there, the police there, the custom, if they have a good day or if they have a bad day. I have been many times down to North Macedonia with Norwegian tourists, and sometimes we find that very interesting to see when we cross the borders between some of the countries. And then that is something you have to live with. And but people find the history down there very interesting. Serbia, you know all the countries, but North Macedonia is also coming up now. I think North Macedonia and Albania is the less expensive countries in Europe at the moment. There you can sit in a cafe and have a glass of wine for almost nothing. I mean, I can have a bottle down there, what I pay for a glass here in Norway, for example. And people are looking at prices now because, you know, the world we are living in, the electricity is going up, everything is increasing. So, but the funny thing is, there is one thing that people look at now, security. So we have a company in Norway now. It's actually started in Denmark 50 years ago and started in Norway in 17. They have travel for adults. That's what they call it, adults. They marketing is that means there's no family, there's no children on these tours. And people go. I have been down to Spain with these people, and they go and they have their own program. So I hardly see them sometimes because they do what they like, but what they knew, the security, they know it's a tour leader there. There's a tour leader there. I was now in November, December at Gran Canaria. I have to call for a doctor 4 times. And they knew it, they couldn't speak Spanish, so that was their security. But they didn't need me otherwise. So this is also something, we are talking about adult people, and you know, the older you get, the easier maybe you get sick or whatever it is. So this tours here, that you have a tour leader, call it in the background or however you want to call it, but the tour leader is there, living in the same hotel, staying there with them, they travel with them. If they have an excursion, the tour leader is there. But then an invisible tour leader, I know I often call it, but have to be there, but they have their own program. And then they do as they like. They can go to a museum, they can go to walking in the mountains or whatever. I was in Spain with a 92-year-old man. He was walking every day. He was playing golf. He was active. But then I had something in the 60s that needed a wheelchair. So this is a complex. This you never know what you have in the group, for example. And that is what we see. People over a certain age, they want to travel in a group where they have this security that is a tour leader with them. And this company now that started in 70 has been a success. The biggest problem they have now, finding enough tour leaders on these tours. And they go all over Europe, now they go to South Africa, Vietnam, Japan, etc. They had Cuba just before the COVID-19, and I suppose that's coming back, etc. So that's very interesting. The next day we'll go into South America. But same concept, always a tour leader with them. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
It's a great idea. I mean, one of the things the Ageless Traveler on the podcast does is we answer questions. And one of the biggest questions we get is, where's the hospital? We're going by ourselves and we're going to here and there. We're fine. We have our medicine, but what if we run out? And so on. And it's very easy to answer these questions. And there are certain places like particularly Bangkok and other places, Dubai is actually one of them also, where it's very easy to get English speaking high level medical care if you happen to need it. So one is the idea of having the guide by your side, like you said. The other is simply knowing where things are being prepared for it. And the other part of that group you're talking about is they probably become friends. They probably know each other. And any kind of tour operator that can create an online Facebook group, a private group for their travelers is great, because this idea of having a camaraderie or using tourism for friendship is a huge thing for the generation that we're talking about. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing to put on the list. If we ever do a certification, it has to be different for tour operators versus hotels versus transportation. And that's certainly one of the things that ought to be on the list. Medical tourism is also part of it, but that's separate. That means you're going for that particular reason. Yeah, interesting stuff.
No,
Can I just give you a quick example of what you said now? I had a group some years ago, and the people in the group, they booked individual, they didn't know each other. The year after, it was between 20 and 25 of them, they went together to Paris, and they had met the year before on a tour. So this friendship they create also is very important. New friends.
Right.
Because the people around them that they know for years may not be at their same level of travel. So they need new people, but for safety reasons, they don't want to go on Travel Buddy or, whatever. But I will say that in this big problem of safety in the world, the Ageless Traveler cancels less than any other group. And when interviewed, they say, because we've seen it before. This is not our first rodeo. Things happen in the world and we go anyway. That is very interesting. Whereas a less experienced traveler gets more frightened about what's going on in the world. We get more frightened about what's going on in our heart, not in our lungs. But in the world, we've seen it before.
Yep. Thank you very much, and good feedback. And we're actually 30 minutes over our time, so you can see that it's a wonderful discussion and people are interested. So I welcome this. And I know we're going to give Burkhard the floor. He raised his hand. And I also wanted to give an opportunity, if your microphone is working, Demi, he came in on and off. He's from Senegal, also a good friend and supporter of what we've been doing for some time. So let's go to Burkhard and Demi. If you wanted to take the microphone, just raise your hand and I'll be able to do this. And if anyone else wants to contribute, please get our attention now in raising the microphone. And if not, we're probably going to come to a conclusion after this. Burkhard, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I will make quick. Number one, Demi, I also know Demi. Best greetings to Senegal. Second, I would come back to what Jan said. So the issue became a little bit more broader. Now, tour guides. Tour guides is a very, very important thing, and they most are very bad paid. And they are very often freelancers, students, and whatever. But please remind, when you traveled, let's say 20, 30, maybe even 40 years ago with a group, you forgotten the name of the company. You maybe have forgotten the name of the hotel, but you still have in your mind the face of the tour guide and what this tour guide said and what he helped and maybe made a joke or whatever. And this tour guide is the interface between you as a tour operator and if some help is needed. And of course, the elder generation maybe needs some help. It might be translation or it can be medical help, whatever. Where's the next pharmacy, whatever. And so this is so important. We need to give the tour guides much, much more attention. It's my personal hope. Number two, what Kumud said. It was just a half sentence, but this is very, very important and not only affect the elder generation. I was reading the last 2-3 weeks several times that people who need a Schengen visa, this became more and more and more complicated and difficult because of bureaucracy, because you have to fill a formula online. Some elder people don't know how to do this. And you are asked, you get questions you cannot answer. And in result, in the past, it took maximum 6 weeks to 3 months to know I will get a visa. But now with the digitalization, what everything should be much easier. In fact, it is not easier very often. In fact, very often it is 20 steps back. And it takes up to 1 year. 1 year. How a tour operator can plan a tour when they don't know whether their customers will get a visa or not. How an individual traveler, elder or not, can travel when they are not able to buy a cheap ticket, which they have to book 6 months in advance or whatever, when they don't know whether they get a ticket. So I think most of us here, we are in a privileged situation. We don't need it. But when somebody from Asia living in Dubai has a Asian passport and needs a visa to go to Europe and don't know whether they get a visa because they have to calculate 12 months, this will disturb tourism a lot. I just want to mention this. This is not particular for elder people only, but it's also for elder people. And maybe Jürgen maybe have this in mind, and maybe for a little bit later, this could be an issue for another conference.
No, absolutely. And yeah, we've discussed the visa issue is a curse for tourism in a lot of ways. And I know especially in Africa, there have been now a discussion of opening Africa. Kenya, I think, took an initiative, no more visas. So hopefully other countries will take this example because in the digital age, we don't need this. But even in the digital age, I can give you a little bit of my own experience. When I applied for a visa for India, I had to do it twice, and I lost $100 the first time around and had to spend another $100 before I was granted a visa, for the only reason is that I didn't have someone who would vouch for me when I was on a 4-day tourist trip. They wanted a person I can put in there who would vouch for me that I behave or pay my bills or whatever it is. It was part of the tourist visa application. So when I left this out, my visa was rejected. Not only out of this reason, they responded to my visa and gave me 12 hours to respond. If I didn't, and I didn't even see the response within 12 hours. So that was a rejection. So I had to do the whole thing again. This time I called the general manager of the hotel I was staying. I didn't know him, but he knew right away, okay, I'll take my name. So I had someone who would vouch for me. So there's sometimes so many bureaucratic hurdles in this process. And that's not only India. It's probably here, our own country, the United States, is very difficult. And Europe is following suit. So the whole visa process, I think, needs to be more internationalized and more friendly for tourism, specifically also what Kumud in Dubai mentioned. You cannot expect from a traveler to have an itinerary unless you go on a group tour. But if you go on an FIT, you may not have an itinerary. So what's the harm done if you can verify that you have the means to support yourself? So I think it has to become all a little bit more logical. And I agree, this is a discussion we should continue. I don't see any more hands up here. And so very last chance. Otherwise, I would probably give the floor back to Adriana for closing.
James, excuse me, James is raising his hand. James,
oh, okay.
Last name.
I don't see James. I don't see anyone raising their hand.
James Szymanski.
Okay, there's no hands. Yes, but go ahead, James. Do you need to unmute yourself, please?
There we go. Is that better?
Now we can hear you. Yes,
okay.
Welcome. Where are
so
you
one
from,
of the
James?
things my older clients are doing, they will not leave their pets. So there's a great company that we just found called Trusted House Sitters. You pay like $265. They watch your house, they watch your pets for any amount of time for an entire year. Wow. We ended up going like, well, you had to do like pictures of your house, pictures of your pets, stories about them, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. We had 5 people apply in 15 minutes. The couple we chose was a retired cop from the UK, who's also a handyman. I ended up giving him my car to use while he was here at our house, and he did all kinds of stuff around our house. It's a super wonderful company. You guys can check them out. It's something to recommend to your clients. I've told like 3 or 4 friends of mine, who are doctors with pets and stuff like that. And they can just, watch your house, or they can watch your pets and your things. We're going to Alaska in May. We're just in Tahiti for my wife's birthday. I'm going to Mexico on Monday. And so they're going to be watching us for Alaska, but something, and they're all over the world. Some friends of the family, where he's a minister, they spend 3 months in Mexico, a month in Europe, 2 months in California, et cetera, et cetera. So, for, that, finding this company takes care of that issue.
Wonderful
So
idea. James,
about-
where are you from?
I'm from Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, wonderful.
As I call it, Scottsdale. The rich people in me. But they're all over the world. Like, in other words, they could watch your house in London or Barcelona, South Africa. It wouldn't make a difference where.
Wonderful.
Yeah, see, that's another avatar issue. You're absolutely right, James. I live in Palm Springs. People in Palm Springs are good travelers. And I hear over and over again, but I don't want to leave my dog. It's a real pet-friendly area, even in the restaurants. And Britain is the whole country. So you're right. There are certain avatar issues. Do they have pets? Caregivers. I see that Dr. Carol Sargent is on our today, who deals with caregivers and that kind of a traveler. So this is for the tourism industry. That's a wonderful resource, which they can actually put in advertising. Don't worry, if you have a pet, we'll help you.
Exactly.
Or we're a pet-friendly venue. That's another kind of avatar. So that's why you put together, who do you want to attract? And you give them the information they need to be able to travel to you or with you. One might be, here's how you take care of your pets.
No, yeah, good feedback. And yeah, share the company with us. So
I wrote it down.
check them out and put them on there. Of course, it is, as you said, it's a security concern. You don't want to give the keys of your house to anyone. So it needs to be
One of the things which was interesting is that they're also bonded.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, bonded, and I mean, you'll get like 5 people applying for your job. And we had like a nurse from San Diego, 2 couples from Australia, 1 from England, and like in Palm Springs, obviously a great place to go to. And they'll go like, oh, hell yeah, we'll come to Palm Springs for 2 weeks, just like they'll come to Scottsdale.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your feedback. I saw Demi in Senegal raising his hand. Now it's done, but Demi, go ahead. I think you may have some problem with your internet connection, but if you wanted to say something, just unmute yourself and we'd be happy to listen to it. And Demi is also has been with us from the very beginning. And he's based in Senegal. He has worked, I believe, with the Ministry of Tourism, is very well connected. And I would love to hear about travel in Senegal, especially now Senegal had some security issues, and to see if it's back to normal and what there is also for the ageless generation. Demi, so if you can unmute yourself, you can do it. If not, I think you may have some technical issues here from what I can see. Okay, so he's not unmuting us. So thanks for participating and listening at least. And we'll hear from you next time. So before I give the floor back, I just wanted to thank everyone from here for participating. If you listen to us live, we will repeat the session over the next 24 or 48 hours. Just stay tuned on your screen, wherever you're watching us from. Or of course, you can go to the breakingnewsshow.com and it will be archived. Also, you can find us on YouTube, on our YouTube channel for many years, hopefully. And of course, World Tourism Network, if you go to WTN.travel, join us as a member so you get access to this and many other events and shows, and you can participate in everything we do. You go to WTN.travel and click on join. And again, thank you for everyone for participating. So let me give the floor back to Adriana and also thank her for putting this together. She deserves 100% of the credit. And it was a really, really interesting session. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, just on a very quick note, I did not get a chance to say to Vincent Mugaba that the United Nations is concentrating on Africa, and we're going to have the International Federation on Aging in South Africa Conference 2025. And in May of 2024 will be the Global Communications Network of the UN will be in Nairobi. And I've been speaking with folks in Uganda because it is a center of voluntourism. And we didn't get a chance to speak a lot about the Ageless Ambassador, but voluntourism is another great hot button. And I even believe that the concierges of hotels, if they were able to accommodate the ageless traveler through local learning experiences, local community experiences, local festivals, local volunteer opportunities, it would be an incredible draw and incredible education for the staff and the concierge. So because it's a big topic and because so many people seem interested, and I am just so thrilled and delighted and excited and surprised at how many people are coming and are interested in this and the depth of what you guys have to say. I'm going to invite you again. Just go to World Tourism Network. That's WTN contact. And all you have to do is say advocacy, say that you're interested. We'll figure out a way to get in touch with you from that. Send you your book, Why Can't I See the Shampoo? And make sure you know when the next event is. And most importantly, put together that special interest group and maybe a working group on whether there should be a certification or other kinds of guidelines for the industry. And again, thank you so much. This has been a beautiful surprise for me and a real joy. And never stop traveling. Okay.
So thank
Oh,
you.
and listen to our show, The Ageless Traveler. We're on everything, Spotify, Apple, wherever you want to go. It's agelesstraveler.com.
Thank you so much, guys. And aloha again from this part of the world. And we see you all soon.